captain of legit this year. Last year I was co-captain, and I basically do a little bit of everything, and I kind of supervise and help out.
I'm Elizabeth Perez, and I'm co-captain.
I'm Jackie Sanchez, and I'm chairman of construction.
And then our chairman of electrical unfortunately couldn't make it today because she had some family issues at home that she had to attend. So I'm going to explain her part of the report.
How many total students on the team?
At the beginning of the year, we had over 20 girls. And that was before kickoff started. We were ready. We were going to start fundraising. And then all of a sudden, our team went poof. And then it was just like a stop because the majority of our team is also part of the Falcon Robotics team.
Right.
And I was an officer this past year. I was secretary, and I was in charge of doing everything, and I didn't have time to keep going with legit. So we postponed it, and like things just kept getting in the way. And then some girls started drifting away, and we ended up with 4 girls.
So there was 4 active all the way through.
Yes. And we had some alumni come back and like, if we had technical questions, we would ask them.
So is the 4th girl going to have opportunity to make it to the competition tonight?
We're gonna try to see if she can get it right. We're still trying to figure those things. So.
Okay, thank you.
She's gonna explain the design of the robot, how it originally started.
Originally, we wanted our front side to be our width right here, but because of the batteries and motors, they take up too much space, so we had to switch it inside and everything. And we weren't gonna have it these PVC on the middle. We were gonna put it at the corners at first, but we needed the motor to be like held in the center, and all of our weight is in the center, so it'd be even.
We used a lot of glue from the glue gun, but that like comes apart in the water, so we like use a lot of silicone, and like we use a lot of zip ties because the silicone was coming apart. So we just zip tied everything, and that's working. And we used wax. We waxed inside the otter box so that it wouldn't leak.
I'm sorry, what kind of material? Wax?
Wax.
Like a candle. We
melted
melted
the candles and like folded
Ah,
up.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we did last year. A lot of what we did this year was based on what we
Errors we
last
last year.
And like we learned from last year
Mistakes.
that hot glue disintegrates in the water because of the chlorine. So after a while, it starts to peel away. So what we thought of, well, we can't spend a lot because our budget was cut short this year because of all the economy. We couldn't find any sponsors, and everything was just like ganging up on us, and we had to do everything very quickly. So what we decided to do is use hot glue, but cover it with a thin layer of silicone. That way it would protect the glue, but we could still use the glue because silicone gets expensive after a while. And
The hot glue keeps it in place.
yes. Our electrical system is, we're using BaneBots and the Vex signal splitters and the Vex control. It's very simple, there's no programming involved. And it's something that we're familiar with, same thing from last year. And something new we did, like Elizabeth mentioned, is we have onboard batteries. Last year we had off-board batteries, and we struggled a lot because having to keep them together, charging them, and everything was just like all over the place. So we decided to keep everything confined here. And even though it was a little bit heavier, it still works.
So how hard was it this year to get your robot neutrally buoyant compared to this year compared to last year when the batteries were not on it?
Well, it was really heavy, like negative. We tested out on Thursday night.
First we put pool noodles on it. All it had was pool noodles. Like it was 2 pool noodles, and we split them up evenly, and we put it in the water, and it was like negative. It hit the floor, it wouldn't come up. And so we went to the store and we bought two like, it was like platforms of styrofoam.
Yeah.
And we put it all on, like all of it. We like zip tied it everywhere. When we put it in the water, it was like positive.
We couldn't push
So
the
we had to
wall down.
like estimate how much we had to take off and put back on and take off until we made it neutral.
And have you had it down to the deep end? I mean, down low yet in the water?
Yeah, we were able, like even though it's neutral with the motor, we were able to
Goes
take it
down.
all the way down and drive around a little. But since we didn't have full charge, the motors are kind of struggling. It's like the power goes, but then like it's kind of slows down. So we
It's
had
like weak.
Yeah, it was weak. So we had to charge our batteries, and ever since then we haven't had the opportunity to go back into the water. So after this, we're gonna go back and test it.
Just the 3 motors, 2
Yes,
for
2.
steering and
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that was kind of affecting our vertical motion was that we had some.
We didn't have water flow.
Yeah.
There was like obstacles. So we choose the wood down here and we moved the styrofoam that was down here.
Hmm.
And like there was like glue here, so we took it off and we hoped that the water would flow better that way.
Tell me about your umbilical.
Tether. We're using an Ethernet cable for our controllers.
Mhm.
These are connected to the signal splitters inside of our OtterBox that's covered in wax, and we're using the connector into our controller. And we brought the wrong controller. That's why we were messing with the robot when you guys were still setting up, because we had it.
No, never mention problems. Unless you solved them, then you mention.
Yeah, we solved it.
Other than that,
Everything's
everything is fine.
Yeah, we fixed it.
Okay, so you have a Ethernet cable for your
And-
control.
Yes, and we have an extension cord for our video feed.
So you're actually bringing, okay, and one camera, and that's just
Mhm.
bringing up a regular
Yes.
extension cord.
Yes, but what we did, instead of having to have like another power for our camera, we have the camera connected to the OtterBox. And then all we brought up was the video.
and that's just an AC extension cord, like for power?
Yeah, just like a regular extension cord. You would use around the house. We try to keep things cheap because last year we were sponsored by Sir Optimus. It's an all women's business association, and they help other women, and they try to inspire girls into engineering. And we thought like that's perfect. That's what we're trying to do. And last year they gave us about $2,100 for last year's competition, and we had about 900 left over for this year. And since we're all part of the Falcon Robotics team, we saw that another team that's here, class of 2012 or 13, excuse me.
They were able to.
They were just gonna come and be an exhibitor because they didn't have money to pay for their entry fee. And we're all excited talking about NERC, and they're like, oh, we're gonna be in an exhibit, and we're like, well, that's not nice, like we have money, like we can get it anywhere, so we paid for their entry fee.
Ah,
And we paid for ours, and we ended up with like $200 left. And so we bought the cheapest batteries, and like we reused everything from last year. Well, everything we could salvage, like the signal splitters, the motors, the main things that were still reusable. We try to salvage as much as we could.
And then other stuff that we bought came out of our own pockets.
tell me about your claw.
Well, that was donated from one of the alumni. She bought the claw last year, but we weren't able to use it on our robot because we started late, like really, really, really late, 2 weeks before the competition, and we just didn't have time to waterproof everything, and so she ended up keeping the claw, but she donated it to us this year. It's usually used for Lego robotics.
I'm sorry, for what?
Lego robotics.
Okay.
FLL. It's a different
So
competition.
what kind of motor do you have driving it?
It's Vex. It's really tiny. It's right here.
We hot glued it. We didn't want it to not be waterproof.
Yeah, we wanted to double and triple check it.
We like hot glued everything just to check it was waterproof.